What's up, guys? Here we go. Day 3. It is time to get this show on the road. We'll be headed out in a little while. It's about 6:30 or so in the morning. I am been up working on some videos and going down to breakfast shortly, and then we'll be on the bus headed over to Wargaming. So I don't know what we're going to be able to show you today. I'm going to try and take what video I can. I expect some of this stuff will be NDA, or I'll have to redact it or whatever. We'll figure it out. Anyways, taking you along for the ride. Let's get this on the road.
The hotel we're staying in has some quirks, but one thing it does really well is breakfast. You can tell there's a lot of excitement in the air as nearly all of the CCs begin to filter in right as the spread opens up at 7:30. Call time for the bus is just before 9 a.m., and shortly thereafter, we're on our way.
Hey, there it is.
It's just shy of 10 a.m. when we pull up outside of the Wargaming St. Petersburg offices in the Krasnogvardiysky district, some 6 kilometers east of the central part of the city. Founded in 1991 as Lesta Studios, they were publishing gaming titles such as Pacific Storm here long before they became a part of Wargaming in 2011. After playing World of Warships for nearly 4 years, standing here feels more than a little surreal. Nearly everybody pulls out their phones for a photo or a video as we enter the lobby, and we're led up 2 flights of stairs to the 3rd floor, then down a very long corridor, be covered in artwork from the game all the way to the far side of the building. A politely concerned Flambast checks to be sure that I'm not streaming.
Raptor,
Yes.
are you sure about that?
Which one?
Is that recording or streaming?
Recording.
Okay.
And at the end of that long corridor, we enter a large hall that will be our primary meeting and presentation location for the next 2 days. There are a couple of dozen computers packed into the corners of a space that clearly doubles as a bit of a recreation and break spot, complete with a sofa, a couple of foosball tables, and a case full of Lesta Studios trophies and memorabilia. As we settle in, the ritual signing of the non-disclosure agreements commences, as at least some of the material we will be reviewing and discussing is not ready for public consumption. We won't even be allowed to film it for release at a later date. With the legalities out of the way, it's time for an office tour. We aren't able to film notable chunks of the tour as a non-zero number of the teams we visit are working on content that isn't even announced yet, but there is still plenty to see. First up is a visit with the History Department, one of the few places that we can freely film. We are introduced to the deputy lead, who briefly describes the research process they use when gathering information about new ships for the game, as well as highlighting the connections they have to nearly 3 dozen museum ships all over the globe. Near his desk is a cabinet full of research volumes that my cadre of wiki editors would probably kill to get their hands on. From there, we take a spin through the art department. We are basically not allowed to film anything here except this awesome shelf of reference materials. Directly behind me is a large wallboard with cardboard slips, color-coded by nation, that represent every ship currently in the modeling process. There's some really good stuff coming down the pike for everybody, trust me on this. The last bit I have footage of comes from the 2D art department. These are the guys responsible for all of the icons, port UI elements, captain images, and merchandise. That's right, if you own any kind of World of Warships t-shirt, for example, that design was born here. They have an amazing stock of examples of their work that I cannot help but photograph on the way out. There are other stops along the tour, of course. The audiophile in me is giddy that they have soundproof rooms on site where all of the voice and music recording is done, but we are expressly forbidden from filming or photographing the area. And I would love to discuss what we saw them working on in the 3D modeling group. Alas, das ist verboten. The office tour concluded, we dive right into the next session, in which each regional team is given the opportunity to design a ship. Each group is handed a printed sheet with the current design parameters being explored for Tier 10 Italian destroyer Paolo Emilio, including turret arrangement, gun caliber, torpedo details, and so on. On another page, the rules of the challenge are defined, and we're told explicitly what we can and cannot change. For example, we're not allowed to change the main battery armament, armor scheme, anti-aircraft equipment, top speed, torpedo protection, and the geometry of the ship. Everything else is fair game. Once our design is complete, we will present it to the remaining CCs as well as head of the balance team Sir Nelson, who will ask questions and then take the 4 individual design concepts back to the balance team, where they will decide which one they want to try and incorporate into the game. We'll get that feedback in tomorrow's session. Over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, the DNA team, myself, Mijash, iChase, Lord Zath, and Virtual Senpai come up with a concept that closely resembles an open water Minotaur. We latch on to the recently announced semi-armor piercing shells, discarding the stats we've been given for Emilio's HE and AP shells, and writing our own stats for new 135mm semi-AP shells, which are now Emilio's only shell type. Keeping in mind the Franco-Italian naval arms race, we also designed certain aspects of the ship to specifically counter Tier 10 French destroyer Kleber, while mindful of the fact that we don't want to completely neutralize that ship's effectiveness or intended role. We equip our version of Emilio with what amounts to Royal Navy Destroyer Hydro, short range, long duration, a heal, and a new concept for smoke. When you push the button, you get one very, very large puff that lasts, say, no more than 15 or 20 seconds, long enough for a French destroyer to have wasted his reload booster while Emilio escapes. We also increase the flood chance on her torpedoes, given that without HE shells in her arsenal, she has no other damage over time capability. As presented by Flambas, the EU concept is more torpedo spam focused. They opt for a further reduction in Emilio's already fairly weak torpedoes, but a small increase to their speed. They also nerf her main battery reload speed in order to compensate. They leave most of her other vital statistics untouched and equip her with their own new smoke concept, voluminous charges of very, very short duration smoke, even shorter duration than British smoke, that's on a very short cooldown, allowing the player a very fine amount of control over the duration of an individual smoke screen. The intent is for this smoke to be utilized as a giant middle finger to a harassing aircraft carrier. Indeed, you can see one of the core tenets of their design in the bottom right of their marker board. Their version of Emilio also packs a torpedo reload booster and an engine boost. The RU server concept is presented by Turi, and they've gone in a totally different direction from EU, investing heavily in buffing Emilio's main battery. They've increased the penetration and damage of her HE shells while reducing their fire chance from 9% to 6% and increased her rate of fire. In exchange, they've cut her main battery range down to 11 kilometers and reduced her base hit points from 24,700 to an even 22,000. They've also loaded her with a single charge of repair party similar to that of Nustrashimi, and a new improved engine boost that adds a whopping 50% to the ship's speed, but for a very short duration with a long cooldown. They've left her concealment alone, but given her torps a tweak, increasing the range and lowering the detection value while keeping the mediocre alpha damage. Last but not least, Major Rage unveils Team Asia's vision for Palio Emilio. They've concocted a unique mix of consumables and parameters designed to tailor Emilio into a destroyer hunter. They've left her main battery completely alone from the originally designed 4x2 135mm guns with a reload of 8.5 seconds, while slightly buffing the torpedoes, increasing their speed to 55 knots and reducing their range down to 10 kilometers. They've radically lowered her detection radius, down to less than 6 kilometers, making her even stealthier than Harugumo with nearly as much health as the Japanese gunboat. Consumable-wise, they've fitted her out with a Royal Navy-style super heal to go with standard smoke and torpedo reload booster, as well as leaving her vulnerable to full battleship AP penetrations, just like Harugumo and Habarovsk. Sir Nelson has questions for each team as they present in turn, then we break for lunch, and he will return tomorrow to let us know which concept the balanced team liked the best. All of the remaining sessions on day 3 were locked behind an NDA, so sorry guys, maybe later. But that's not the end of day 3 quite yet. Oh no. Once our daily sessions are done, we board the bus for the hour drive back to Pushkin, where we're shown to a group dinner at a fabulous restaurant immediately adjacent to Catherine's palace. Say what you will about wargaming, but if you've ever been to any kind of player gathering, you know that their hospitality is first rate. This entire trip, from beginning to end, was no different. The meal was spectacularly good, even without knowing what some of the appetizers were. Shortly after everyone finished ordering, we are led up many, many stairs into a vodka bar where shots are distributed, like you do in Russia, and then up more stairs to the roof. The view up here is spectacular. It is, say, 10 p.m. at night, and there is still plenty of light. We take some group photos, then head back downstairs, but not before paying the toll of yet another shot of vodka on the way back down through the vodka bar. As the evening wears on, there are a few at our table looking a bit worse for the wear, notably iChase, who is for sure feeling his vodka. Flemu busts out his phone and live streams some of the shenanigans around us, while Zath breaks out his laptop and proceeds to play games in the new Rogue Wave event. He tag teams it with fellow CC Captain Arya, who helms the ship while Zath mans the weapons. They have a lot of fun, but not a lot of success. And then, at last, sometime shortly after midnight, we are bussed back to the hotel.
It has been a long day 3 here in St. Petersburg. Of course, just day 1 of the official summit. It is well after midnight. We're just now getting back to our hotel. Call time in the morning is in about 8.5 hours, and between then I gotta sleep, get clean, get breakfast, and be ready to go at it all over again. It's been a blast though. I mean, it's packed. These guys have a very aggressive schedule to keep up with what they want to talk with us, I suppose, about. And it's been good. Not all of it we can share, of course. The parts that we can share will be coming as soon as I can get them out the door. This is being recorded. It's I guess technically it's early Thursday morning, the 27th of June. So hopefully I'll be able to get this stuff out to you guys shortly. But in the meantime, I'm gonna get some bloody sleep. The dinner tonight was epic. If you got to watch any of Flamu's live stream, I tweeted out some things. It was an adventure, and we're doing it all over again tomorrow night. So should be exciting. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you tomorrow on day 4. Take care.